For centuries, scholars fought over a city they couldn't prove existed. Some said it was two different cities. Others said it was a fairy tale, invented by a Greek writer with a wild imagination. Then, in the year 2000, divers dropped into the murky water off Egypt's coast, and 10 meters down, in the mud, something enormous was waiting. A face, a crown, a god carved in red granite, taller than a giraffe, and nearby, a slab of stone that would end a 2,400-year-old argument in a single word. This is Thonis-Heracleion. Before Alexandria existed, this was Egypt's greatest seaport, the single gate every ship from the Greek world had to pass to enter Egypt. And then, it disappeared for more than 1,000 years. So how do you lose a city this important? And what did that slab on the seabed actually say? Stay with me, because the answer rewrites what we thought was legend. Picture ancient Egypt. If you were a Greek trader, you did not just sail in. You couldn't. Every ship had one mandatory stop, Thonis-Heracleion, sitting on the western mouth of the Nile. Here you were taxed, inspected, processed, customs houses, temples, officials counting your cargo. Only then could you sail up the Nile into Egypt. The Egyptians called it Thonis. The Greeks called it Heracleion. And for centuries, historians assumed those were two separate places on the map. Founded around the 8th century BC, it grew rich, guarding the front door of a civilization. At its heart stood the great temple of Amun-Gareb. This was not a village. This was the toll booth of the ancient world. So how does a city like that just slip beneath the waves? First, kill the myth. Thonis-Heracleion did not sink overnight. No single storm. No wave of the god's anger. Yes, the seas were rising, and earthquakes rattled the coast. But those just set the stage. The real killer was the ground itself. Those massive stone temples sat on waterlogged clay, and under enough weight and stress, that clay could suddenly turn to liquid. Solid ground, becoming soup, swallowing multi-ton buildings right where they stood. Imagine the earth beneath your feet just letting go. There was also an economic blow. Alexandria, founded around 331 BC on solid bedrock, quietly drained the city's trade away. So it was already fading when the sea finally closed over it by the late 8th century AD. But here's the thing. The ground wasn't even the strangest thing they'd find down there, because scattered across that seabed was a graveyard. When Franck Goddio's team located the ruins in 2000, about 6.5 kilometers offshore in Aboukir Bay, they found more than statues, more than 700 ancient anchors, the remains of over 60 ships. It's one of the largest concentrations of ancient ships ever found in one place on Earth. And here's the twist. Many were sunk on purpose. Some scuttled to block enemy fleets. Some offered as rituals. Some deliberately sunk to extend the docks. Old ships becoming new wharves. Among that wreckage sat one small Nile cargo boat. Archaeologists numbered it Ship 17. It looked ordinary. It was anything but. Because that little boat was about to vindicate a man accused of lying for 2,400 years. Now go back to that slab of stone. When divers cleaned it off, they read a name carved into it. It was a stele of the pharaoh Nectanebo I from around 380 BC, and it settled everything. Because that seabed stele was an almost exact duplicate of another one, the Naucratis stele, found on land back in 1890. Same material, same size, same script. Only one thing was different: the place name. Thonis, Heracleion, Egyptian Thonis, and Greek Heracleion were never two cities. They were one metropolis, wearing two names. And here was the proof, read straight off the ocean floor. But the seabed wasn't done. Remember Ship 17? Around 450 BC, the Greek historian Herodotus visited this very place. And he wrote a strange, oddly specific 23-line description of an Egyptian Nile boat called a barris. Acacia planks laid, he said, like courses of bricks. For 2,400 years, no archaeologist had ever found a boat built that way. People assumed the old Greek had exaggerated, made it up. Then they raised Ship 17, acacia planks, laid like courses of bricks. Exactly as he described. Herodotus wasn't lying. He'd been telling the truth the whole time. And it took a sunken city to prove it. So let's close the loop. A city so vital no ship could enter Egypt without passing through it. A city that faded when Alexandria stole its trade, then sank as the very ground turned to liquid beneath it. Lost so completely that scholars weren't even sure it was real. And when it finally surfaced, it handed us two gifts. The true name of a city, spelled out on the seabed, and hard proof that a doubted historian had been right for 2,400 years. But here's the gut punch. Franck Goddio estimates only about 5% of Thonis-Heracleion has been excavated. 95% of an entire ancient metropolis is still down there, still buried, still waiting, still unread. If you want one true wonder like this every single week, a real story stranger than any myth, subscribe. There's a whole world down there we haven't touched yet, and I want to show you all of it.